know the ding-dong doorbell company that got caught spying on your family? Well, now they're in the news again. Only now, it seems their ding-dongs are catching on fire, with over 350,000 of them being recalled as they could potentially burn the house down. From faulty batteries to improper installation, so much for simple. Do-it-yourself security is just a bad idea when it comes to your family's safety. That's why so many families and businesses choose SafeTouch Security. SafeTouch equipment uses encryption technology, and only SafeTouch has the SafeTouch two-way communicator, which provides the fastest emergency response by Florida law. So don't settle for a substandard response from your so-called emergency responders. And right now, you'll get free basic equipment with any monitoring package and local monitoring by the SafeTouch monitoring system. You don't want to be monitored from someone's home. And SafeTouch Security has free parts and labor warranty 24/7, 365 days a year for free. Go to safetouchsecurity.com or call today for your free consultation. State license number EF0000233.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
You're in the zone with Brandon Kravitz.
This idea that you have to wait to let the quarterback develop for 3 years is ancient at this point. It just doesn't take that long anymore. It just doesn't take that long to diagnose, are you good, are you not? And the example is all of the guys that are playing in the league right now. Just look at the guys that are in the league today. Lamar Jackson, first year as a starter, won the MVP. Patrick Mahomes, first year as a starter, won the MVP. Joe Burrow, does he have it or does he not?
He's got it.
Does Justin Herbert have it or no?
Yeah, he's got it.
Even Jared Goff, who was brutal his first year. Second year, 10 wins, playoff, in the Pro Bowl. Third year, into the Super Bowl. How long did it take you to figure out that Mitch Trubisky sucked?
In the zone, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach. We are football. We are FM 96.9, The Game.
Bianchi's gonna talk some rocket sports down the I-4 corridor. So get your motor running. Time to put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
Happy Monday, everybody. We are live. We are local in Orlando and in Jacksonville every morning, 6 to 9 a.m. Welcome to Open Mic. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel. Joining me, as always, back from top secret assignment, is Adam Reardon, the deceptive intellect, and, of course, Austin Pastolka, the Sultan of Sound, right there.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. And let me tell you, we're giving away a prize today. That's a fantastic prize. It's the first city night for the Orlando Magic. 4-pack of tickets coming your way at 7:15.
Ooh, 4-pack of tickets to see the Magic play. Hopefully they'll start playing a little bit better, the injury-plagued Magic. We want to hear from you throughout the course of the show. We have football galore to talk about. We have playoff games. We have the national championship game. Bama versus the Buckeyes tonight. We have all sorts of stuff to talk about. We want your game balls and goop balls. We want your overreactions from the sports weekend. You can give us a call if you like, 407-916-8255. You can tweet us at 96.9 The Game or at The Game Jacks. You can also text us on our Academy Sports and Outdoors text line. That's 50857. Your first chance at $1,000. Make an appointment coming up at 7:10 a.m. this morning. We give away $1,000, or we try to give away $1,000 twice every day on our show, 7:10 a.m. and then 8:10 a.m. Andrea Adelson, college football writer extraordinaire, will join us at 8:15 a.m. She is covering the national championship game down in Miami, so we will talk to her. But let's start our show, as we always do, with an open mic early morning inspirational quote of the day. This comes from the great philosopher Confucius, who once said, and I quote, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior," end quote. Anyone?
Well, I would think that he meant that some of your toughest battles are going to be fought from within. And if you can defeat those, then you may be the greatest warrior. Defeating a foe other than yourself is very difficult, but defeating the things that maybe are within you that you need to fight, sometimes those are the toughest.
Sometimes your mind turns on you, doesn't it? Your mind will turn on you. You know what you have to do? You have to conquer your own mind.
You have to change your state of mind.
Well, sometimes you ever heard people say, "Sometimes I'm my own worst enemy."
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to defeat that worst enemy. That makes you a great warrior.
There you go. There you go. That's why he's the deceptive intellect. By the way, I will get into this later, but the deceptive intellect is a big watcher and an avid fan of documentaries. I watched a documentary over the weekend that goes to everything I always say about social media.
Oh, great. Let me guess. You watched The Social Dilemma? Or
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. What do you think about that one, Deceptive Intellect? Have you seen it?
Here's the truth. I haven't seen it.
Really?
Yeah, because so many other people had seen it. I mean, I was thinking to myself, like, well, that's...
Wow, you hipster.
Yeah. I mean, like, hold on here. Hold on now. Wait, while you're watching that, I'm watching a documentary on how the Eiffel Tower was built. You know? But I've heard it's very good.
It is really good. Yep. Really good. My other revelation over the weekend, and you were way ahead of the game on this, Adam Reardon. I've been trying to, one of my New Year's revolutions and resolutions.
Listen, I'm done with revolutions in the new year. Okay, we've had plenty. Okay.
One of my New Year's resolutions is to cut down on my triglycerides, and one of the ways you do that is to cut down on red meat. I ate one of these Beyond Burgers over the weekend.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. Those things are awesome.
Yeah.
You know what? The Beyond Meat or like the meat alternative game is a lot like cell phones. Like we went from the brick phone that you had to carry around the strap shoulder thing to stuff that fits in your hand that's basically a computer in like 25 years. Boom, boom, boom. My brother's been a vegan for 15 to 20 years, so... I was around the products before, and there was no way I could have ever done them. But these Beyond Burgers and then Impossible Burgers as well, I mean, what they've been able to do for guys like Mike and me, good old, like, just give me a steak, give me a hamburger.
That's right.
Don't give me any of that weird stuff. They've changed the game completely. It's unbelievable, to be honest.
They've even got like blood in them. It looks like.
Yep. No, I remember the first time I had an Impossible Burger in Las Vegas, and my brother was like, "Look, it bleeds. Look, you can really get behind this thing. Look at it. It's almost like it's alive."
Got the Impossible Whopper at Burger King. How crazy is that?
Two for $6, buddy. Are you kidding me?
That's right, brother.
It was a staple of my diet at one point.
All right, we got a lot of football to talk about. Let's talk about our not our hometown team, but our home station team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We are the home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Tom Brady throws for 381 yards, 2 touchdowns. He leads the Bucs past the Washington football team 31-23 Saturday night, and that was the first playoff victory for the Buccaneers since 2002. That was their Super Bowl year. Give me a little Bucs sound from the weekend.
Dropping deep, Brady throws the ball to the right side. He's got to be open. Antonio Brown, 3-2-1. Touchdown, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Brady finds AB. Brady dropping, throwing, caught ball. Chris Godwin, touchdown, Tampa Bay. Perfect throw from Brady, and Godwin beat the defender. Second down and goal. Hand the ball off, and Fournette is stutter step. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. The Bucs get it. Badly needed touchdown.
You'd love to play great every game. I think it's good to win in advance, and we don't play well next week, we're not gonna be happy. So glad we won, glad we got another week of work, and we're gonna go in there and try to do a much better job this week.
Tom Brady, not exactly happy with how they played, but they did win the game. What about Washington's Taylor Heineke getting it done? He looked really good the other night. Did he not? Did you guys watch Taylor Heineke?
I was watching the game, and yeah, there's a couple times where he tucked it and would run, and I'm going, gosh, that guy's quick.
Yeah.
Who knew that Taylor Heineke was this dual threat quarterback?
He was on an XFL roster, brother.
And he at some point he ended up injuring his shoulder, had to go out, and then when he came back in, he was dropping dimes after that. I was like, oh my God, this dude's playing for another contract somewhere else.
Yeah, so the Buccaneers stave off the Washington football team. Now they play the New Orleans Saints next weekend. The Saints, of course, won their playoff game over the weekend or yesterday. Drew Brees, 42 years old. He's going to turn on Friday. Tom Brady, of course, 43 years old, and those two quarterbacks now going to go head-to-head next weekend. Here's my overreaction, guys. The Saints have had their way with the Buccaneers this year, twice, all right? But this is a different Bucs team. The Bucs will not lose a third time to the New Orleans Saints. Book it. You heard it here first.
Wow, I mean,
anyone?
I wish I could disagree with you, but if there's anything I've learned in watching sports for all of my life is that it is hard to beat a football team 3 times in 1 year. I cannot stress this enough. If you play a team enough, eventually you're going to get a win, and the Bucs might be right there for it.
Adam?
Yeah, and I think that one of the differences is that Antonio Brown, I want to say that the game against the Saints was his first game when he rejoined the Bucs, and we've seen here over the last few weeks the link up between Tom Brady and Antonio Brown. He's definitely become a weapon for them, a major contributor to that offense. So that'll help him. And then, yeah, you're right. The odds, just speaking to the odds of one team beating the other team 3 times, and we're not talking about the gap between these two teams being quite wide when it comes to the product they put on the football field. I'm with you. God, it feels like the Bucs should win this football game. I want to say they're like a 4-point underdog to start the week.
I will say this though. I think I did pick the Saints to win the Super Bowl this year. The Saints are now at full strength, at least on the offensive side of the football. Alvin Kamara obviously is unbelievable. Now they have Michael Thomas back. Latavius Murray looked really good yesterday. He caught a touchdown pass from Drew Brees. So the Saints are full strength. I don't know if Michael Thomas even played in the second victory over the Buccaneers where they just blew them off. What was the score, like 38-3? I think the Saints beat.
It was something like that. And, there's something to be said about that. It seems like whenever the Buccaneers kind of get a little momentum going and we're like, man, this Bucs team is looking really good, what happens?
Then they play the Saints.
And they're like, whoa, what happened to this team?
The issue for the team, remember when their issue was they couldn't play like night games? They couldn't play primetime games? Yeah. That was the issue?
Yeah. They practiced at night. They fixed it.
Yeah.
They can play primetime games when they play losing teams like the Washington football team. Anyway. All right, straight ahead. Are the Cleveland Browns for real? I think they are. We're going to get into all the other NFL games next on Open Mic. Open Mic, the best radio show in town. Isn't that right, Urban Meyer?
I think your facts are not surprisingly incorrect.
Nick Chubb is in. The Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield dismantled the Pittsburgh Steelers 48-29 last night in the wild card round of the playoffs. They did it by scoring a bunch of points, obviously, but they also did it by picking off Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger 4 times. 4 times. Let's hear some picks.
Play action fake. Back to pass. Now he's looking right. Now he dumps it over the middle. It's picked off. MJ Stewart's got it, and he brings it down to the Pittsburgh 46-yard line. Drops to throw. Back, looks, throws, middle, tip, and picked off. They got it again. It's Redwine. Back, throws. The ball got tipped, and it is intercepted by Porter Gustin. How about that?
Christmas in January.
Back to pass. Throws it over the middle. It's picked off. Taki's got it. Big Ben throws his 4th interception of the night.
Wow. He did throw for 501 yards and 4 touchdowns, but he had 4 picks, and that was the death knell to the Steelers last night. And we said this when we were making our picks on Friday. At least I did. The Steelers sort of wobbled into the playoffs, didn't look anything like the team that started the season 11-0. What happened to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Coach Mike Tomlin, what happened at the end of the season?
It is what it is, man. Our record is our record. Our performances are our performances. And so don't run away from that.
Yeah. He also said we died on the vine at the end of the season, like a rotten tomato, where the vine, I don't know if you guys have ever, grown tomatoes, but when the tomato, sort of dies, the vine dies, turns all brown. That's what happened to the Steelers. They just crinkled up and blew away last night. Unbelievable.
What were they at one point?
11-0. 11-0. At one point this season.
Sitting around, forcing those Miami Dolphins to wait to pop the champagne.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oof. You mean the Miami Dolphins that are still living? Yeah, there's not many of them left because a bunch of them died last year. By the way, the Browns had lost I read this morning. The Browns had lost 17 straight games at Pittsburgh's Heinz Field. 17 straight. And they end up winning the game in huge fashion, their first playoff victory in more than a quarter century. Here's an overreaction for you guys. The Kansas City Chiefs better watch out next week because the Brownies are coming to. What are you laughing at? The Brownies are coming to town, and they mean business. They don't laugh.
It's too late. The Kansas City Chiefs better watch out for the Cleveland Browns.
The Brownies are coming to town.
The Steelers are a bad team.
The Brownies aren't just happy with this one playoff victory. You know what? Guess what? The Browns head coach will actually be back next week, Kevin Stefanski. He missed the game. Their best offensive lineman missed the game. Their top cornerback, Denzel Ward, missed the game. All tested positive for COVID-19. All right? They'll be back next week when they go into Kansas City. And they're not just going into Kansas City to play a game. They're going in to take names, kick ass, and take names. Watch out for my Brownies.
Well, and let me say this because he's laughing back there, but let us learn something from the Pittsburgh Steelers, who at one point were 11-0, and then they started playing poorly down the stretch to try to say, okay, well, we'll get to the playoffs and everything will be fine then. Let me give you the last few weeks of the Kansas City Chiefs, by the way, because Austin's laughing like there's no chance. Last week of the season, I get it. The guys didn't play. They ended up losing to the Chargers. Okay, so but we'll couch that. The week prior to that, against the Atlanta Falcons, 17-14.
Had to hold on.
A 3-point victory. The New Orleans Saints, 32-29. The Miami Dolphins 33-27. The Denver Broncos 22-16. The Buccaneers 27-24.
You know what the difference is
The
between
Raiders,
what you're saying right here and what the Steelers did? Was that
they were winning.
They were winning.
No, I get it. No, but you're laughing it off like there's no chance. The Kansas City Chiefs haven't beaten somebody by more than a score. You'd have to go all the way. You'd have to go all the way back to their game against the New York Jets, 35-9. That was the last time they were absolutely dominant in a football game. Every other game within one touchdown. So, I mean, to say, hey, listen, a team that's playing good football right now, while they've had the week off, sometimes you lose a little momentum. And, oh, by the way, you took an extra week off because you played against the Chargers. You didn't start any of your starters. I'm with Mike. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I certainly wouldn't laugh it off.
Plus, here's the thing about the Brownies, all right? Obviously, they play pretty good defense, even though, again, Ben Roethlisberger threw for a bunch of yards last night, but they had a bunch of turnovers. They caused 5 turnovers, all right? And they run the football. They can keep the ball away from the Kansas City Chiefs. Nick Chubb has had an unbelievable year this year. Obviously, Kareem Hunt had a couple of touchdowns yesterday. He's going back to Kansas City. So, again, to me, besides Saints-Bucks next week, that's the game I'm really looking forward to, the Browns versus the Chiefs, to see if the Chiefs can, sort of turn it back up, as Adam just alluded to, and to see if the Browns can keep it going, because the Browns have been red hot at the end of the season. So we shall see. The other, we're going to get into all the playoff games as the show progresses. The other playoff game that surprised me over the weekend was the Colts giving the Buffalo Bills all they wanted. I don't know if you guys watched that game, but the Colts were ahead. They had, and the Bills had to hold on to win because, and again, the Colts are a decent team, but I thought the Bills were just playing so well at the end of the season. I thought they would sort of blow out the Colts as they've blown out everybody else. Did you guys watch any of that game? Because the Bills were lucky to win. They really were.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that game. As I was doing other stuff, but I saw that they had won the game. But it does set up a pretty good matchup this week between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. So I'm looking forward to that matchup this week. It's one of the to me the more intriguing matchups you've got. We're sort of people wanting to maybe pencil in Mahomes to the AFC title game. Well, which young quarterback is going to get into an AFC title game to oppose Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs? And is that quarterback ready to take the next big giant step in his progression? So that's another game I'm interested to watch this weekend.
Yeah, and Lamar Jackson, man, that guy is unbelievable. The way he runs the football. I mean, that run he had yesterday, that 48-yard touchdown run, was incredible. I mean, how he doesn't blow out his ACL on some of these runs. I mean, the guy is he cuts at full speed and doesn't skip a beat. He's incredible. That run was amazing yesterday. So we will get into more of this during Game Balls and Goop Balls. Straight ahead, though, you can get your cheap plug ready. I wrote a column over the weekend. It was one of those open letter columns to Dan Mullen, the Gators head coach, sort of a self-improvement type column for Dan Mullen. I wonder if he should be mad or appreciative with what I wrote. That's next on Open Mic. Open Mic, the best radio show in town. Isn't that right, Urban Meyer?
I don't know who creates a story like that.
Oh, I don't create stories, Urban Meyer. I tell the truth. I'm going to give you the truth right now about who makes the best sports gifts out there, all right? There's always a gift-giving occasion. I realize Christmas is over, but you got Valentine's Day, you got birthdays coming up, you've got graduation right around the corner. My good friend Nancy used to run a quilt shop in Winter Garden. That closed during the pandemic, but she's a huge sports fan, so she decided she was going to start making sports gifts, all right? You can go to nancylovesports.com right now. Browse her personalized sports gifts. She's got sports towels, towels, team pillows, gift bags, face masks, onesies for the baby. She's got everything there. And if you don't see what you're looking for, send her a message and she will work on customizing just the right gift for you. Enter the code Bulldog for 20% off your order at NancyLoveSports.com. That's NancyLoveSports.com.
Yours text line at 50857.
So I wrote a column over the weekend in the Orlando Sentinel. You can probably go read that right now at orlandosentinel.com there. Thank you. And it was one of these open letter columns, Adam Reardon, where you sort of write a letter to the person you're writing about. So I wrote an open letter column to Dan Mullen, all right? And the column was essentially my way of telling Dan Mullen, you need to self-improve here. You need to do better than what you did this past year. And I'm not talking about on the field. I'm talking about, some of the dumb things you said this year, some of the dumb things you did this year. All right, I want to read you a little bit of the column because some Gator fans were very unhappy with me. I want to read you a little bit of the column, and I want to get your thoughts on it, Adam Reardon. All right. So here's me writing to Dan Mullen. Dan, you have created a laundry list of controversies and distractions that have made it extremely hard for Gator Nation and UF's administration to embrace you. It's no secret you only have 3 years left on your contract and have not yet received an extension, despite the fact that you beat Georgia this year, you took the Gators back to the SEC championship game, and you've gone to 3 consecutive New Year's Six bowl games. Normally, athletics directors pass out lucrative contract extensions like Halloween candy, even to moderately successful coaches, in parentheses, see Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin and Tennessee with Jeremy Pruitt. But yet, Florida AD Scott Strickland has not extended your deal yet. Why do you think this is, Dan? I'll tell you why. It's because you have embarrassed the school with your bizarre behavior, your dubious comments, and worst of all, NCAA rules violations. The NCAA show cause penalty you received for recruiting violations is simply not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. The football team's first probation since the renegade days of the 1980s is an immense embarrassment to a lofty academic institution that U.S. News & World Report recently ranked as the number 6 public university in the country. And then I go on to go through his pack the swamp comments during a pandemic, the melee he incited against Missouri, and on. The election day comments where he was whining about not being able to practice on election day. And then at the end, I say, if you really want to get Gator Nation and the administration back on your side, you need to hold a news conference and say, I'm not going to the NFL. I'm committed to the University of Florida. Because right now, Adam Reardon, with all of these NFL rumors out there about Dan Mullen, he's not come out and said anything.
Yeah.
Not come out and said anything. Do you think Gator Nation should be mad at that column, or do you think Dan Mullen should be appreciative that I'm giving him some good advice?
Well, obviously, college football is always, sort of a family atmosphere. Like, you can, as a member of the family, you can feel that way about your uncle, but when somebody from the outside says it, them's fighting words, and
why can't I say that? I went to UF. Well, I'm in the UF Journalism Hall of Fame.
Some people would say that most media then, are sort of the outside guys trying to cause a stir, to be honest, Dan Mullen's brought a lot of this onto himself because of the reasons you mentioned in the column. And then something you just brought up and make a great point. If there are fans sitting around going, now wait a minute, why not shoot down some of these NFL rumors? Matt Campbell, whose name's been mentioned for some jobs, the Iowa State coach, he's come out and said, listen, it's great. My name's being mentioned. I'm not interested. I like being at Iowa State. That's where I want to be. Blah, 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 blah. And Dan Mullen's done none of that. Now, I don't know if it's Dan Mullen a little bit upset because of what you mentioned, Mike. I mean, we watch guys get extensions on top of extensions on top of extensions who've not earned it on the football field at all. Dan Mullen probably feels like, hey, I should have already had my extension by now. And maybe
he would have his extension by now if he hadn't gotten the show cause penalty, the NCAA stuff had not come out 2 weeks ago. I think Florida, and I think Scott Strickland thinks it would look bad to the NCAA right after you get this show cause penalty, you give the guy an extension. I think that's what's happening.
Is Jeremy Foley still floating around somewhere up there? I mean,
yeah, he's still getting paid like $500,000 a year to be the AD emeritus. Absolutely, he has an office up there,
and we know how serious he takes that sort of stuff. We know. The one thing you can say about the University of Florida, and even as a rival, and certainly respect, is that Florida very rarely, if ever, has ever found itself within the crosshairs, and then certainly not on the opposite line of what is acceptable in the rules of college football. And then
you weren't around when I was.
Well, I'm
80s,
saying it's been a while. It's definitely been a while. And that's something Florida and their administration has always been very, very proud of. So maybe you're right. Maybe the reason why they're sort of punishing Dan Mullen by saying, okay, well, you're not getting an extension right now is because he's embarrassed the school, embarrassed the administration, who's always took great pride in the idea that everything in their athletic program generally is on the up and up, and maybe that's the reason. I don't think anybody should be upset. I think it brings up some questions. I think it points to some answers, maybe to some questions people may have. If they are upset about it, or if Dan Mullen's upset, maybe he's just a little bit sensitive.
Yeah, but here's the thing, all right? If back to the NFL rumors, right? And I wrote this in my column. If there's an NFL job out there that he thinks is better than the job he has, then by all means he should take it. But if he's just not saying anything, if there's no job out there that either he's interested in or that he's been offered, then he needs to come out and say something. I mean, he needs to send a message to not only the fans and the administration, but to recruits that, hey, I'm committed to this school, because we still have some recruiting left going on this season, do we not?
Yep. Yeah, you got, we've got the first Wednesday in February is the actual signing day, or the last signing day. We had the early signing period where most of your class is pretty much done, but there is some work to be done. There is the transfer portal, which means that recruiting happens 24/7, 365 now. So yeah, no, you definitely want the message for athletes out there to be, hey, listen, I'm committed to this program. I'm going to be here the next 4 years. Come spend your next 3 to 4 years here with me as well. So, I mean, there is a lot to be said about that. I mean, Mike, you know how this business works too. Part of the reason why guys let their names get floated around and get their names out there, get mentioned, is maybe because maybe they are working on an extension. And the more his name is out there, and guess what? Yeah, the idea that there's maybe another suitor makes the price go up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, you know how these agents can be with these names getting...
Well, yeah, but I would think that Dan Mullen and Florida's administration know by now whether Mullen's going to get an extension in the next month or so. Because if he's going to get an extension like in a couple weeks, then why don't they just go ahead and give it to him? I think it's going to be a while before Mullen gets his extension, so he needs to make up his mind. Is he gonna pout about not having an extension and get it, I don't know, next year? Or is he going to, commit to the University of Florida? That's the question. All right, we have a thought-provoking daily poll. You can go vote on it, and the way it's worded is this: should Gators coach Dan Mullen be mad or appreciative of my open letter column in the Orlando Sentinel, in which I advised him to clean up his act? You can go vote at 96.9 The Game or at The Game Jack. Straight ahead, it's game balls and goop balls. I have a game ball for an FSU football player, also a game ball for a man who gave up his lucrative career as a lawyer so he could make barbecue. That's next on Open Mic.
Game balls and goofballs from the sports weekend. Next on Open Mic.
You know what? These ding-dong do-it-yourself doorbell cameras, how can you even trust them? All right, they're having major issues once again with a well-known doorbell company recalling 350,000 video doorbells due to fire hazard. This is why I have a Safe Touch home security system, which, by the way, comes complete with a professionally installed and monitored doorbell camera. You do not have to worry about Safe Touch's video doorbell starting a fire or getting hacked, and it will stop those porch pirates in their tracks. And you're not really saving any money with these do-it-yourself alarm systems either. You're only putting your family in harm's way. Do-it-yourself alarms are designed to be installed by anyone. And believe me, if I can install something, that means it's easily hacked or bypassed, and that leaves your family vulnerable to the creeps and to the bad guys. So do what I did. Go to safetouch.com. Get a system you can trust at a price you can afford. That's safetouch.com. State license EF233.
we're hyped to the max. While others flopped.
We got flops all over the place.
It's time for Game Balls and Goofballs on Open Mic.
We want your game balls and goop balls from the sports weekend. You can text them in to 50857. You can give us a call, 407-916-8255. You can tweet us at 969 The Game or at The Game Jacks. By the way,
Twitch chat.
speaking of...
Don't forget about the Twitch chat, brother.
Or the Twitch chat. That's right. You not only can listen to our show, you can watch our show too online. We have a live stream. We have one on Twitch. We have one on Twitter. We have one on YouTube. In fact, if you go to YouTube and search for Open Mic Live Stream, you can find us and watch our beautiful faces as we do this fine radio show. So lots of ways to communicate, watch, listen to us. We appreciate any way you communicate with us. Again, game balls and goop balls. I'll get it started, by the way. I'll get it started with a game ball. And this is a non-sports game ball, all right? And this game ball goes to, let me get my list of game balls and goop balls here. All right, this game ball goes to Sam Miner. Do you guys know who Sam Miner is? All right. Sam Miner was the founder of Orlando-based Bubbaloo's Bodacious Barbecue restaurant.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever had Bubbaloo's Barbecue?
I haven't. Actually, I drove past it, or I drove past something that maybe is one of the restaurants or something just the other day, because I'm reading. I'm going, wait a minute, what's the name of that place?
Yeah. I used to live down the street from one, and let me tell you, brother, I went to Bubbaloo's all the time.
Bubbaloo's is great barbecue. Sam Miner, by the way, sadly passes away over the weekend at age 70. He was a big philanthropist in Central Florida. I was reading his bio in the Sentinel over the weekend, and this guy was like a big-time lawyer, got his law degree from the University of Florida. He practiced law for 15 years from 76 into the 90s, but he always had this passion for barbecuing. In fact, his uncle had a barbecue restaurant way back when, and so this guy Sam Miner wanted to do barbecue, so he quit his law practice and opened the barbecue restaurant, and boom, it became a big time hit because it was such good barbecue. I was reading a quote from what's the other big barbecue restaurant in town? Four Rivers. Yeah. So this guy who founded Four Rivers, John Rivers. Here was his quote about Sam Miner. All right, and Bubbaloo's Bodacious Barbecue. John Rivers said, "Before we opened, it's where I got my barbecue, and I enjoyed it very much. The thing I very much admired about Sam is that he always had such a philanthropic heart. He gave back long before we even came on the scene." So that was from the rival of Bubbaloo's Bodacious Barbecue. All right, also a lifetime game ball to Tommy Lasorda, the Dodgers' legendary Hall of Fame manager, one of the greatest ambassadors Major League Baseball has ever known. He passed away over the weekend, actually on Friday afternoon, at the age of 93. All right, I've got 5 great Tommy Lasorda quotes. Austin, get your dinger and buzzer ready. You ready?
All right, ready.
All right. This is about the catcher Mike Scioscia back in the day. Quote, "I did not make Mike Scioscia the number one catcher because he's Italian. I made him the number one catcher because I'm Italian." End quote.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah?
It's all in the family. Let me tell you.
All right. Number 2, when somebody asked him about Darryl Strawberry's penchant for dogging it on the baseball field. Quote, "He's not a dog. A dog is loyal and runs after balls." End quote.
That's good.
When asked about the contract demands being made by his ace pitcher, Fernando Valenzuela of Mexico, quote, he wants Texas back.
Okay.
That's funny.
He wants to.
Scroogey.
Yeah, the Scroogey. Fernando used to throw that Scroogey. All right, another one. I love double headers. That way I get to keep my uniform on longer, end quote.
Okay. All right. I like it.
And number 5, there are 3 types of baseball players: those who make it happen, those who watch it happen, and those who wonder what happened.
There you go. That's the one. That's the one.
Tommy Lasorda, may you rest in peace, my friend. Well, you have a game ball, Austin. Get to your game ball real quick because I'm interested in hearing it.
So my game ball goes to the broadcast of NFL on Nickelodeon. It was a ton of fun, and it was really helpful for a lot of kids who don't really know the game of football. I think baseball needs to take a lesson here because stuff like this, I'm going to play a clip, happened during the broadcast. So this was after a false start penalty.
A false start. That's when an offensive player illegally moves after lining up for, but prior to, the snap. Like when my dad starts shoveling in dinner before mom says grace.
That is from the show Little Sheldon, the spin-off from
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory, thank you. And it was a fun broadcast. It had slime cannons, it had all this different, just fun atmosphere to it, one that a lot of people have said kids were really into. And I gotta tell you, as someone who has watched a lot of football in their life, mixing it up a little bit was a nice change of pace.
You're not going to go so far as to say that you'd rather watch it on Nickelodeon than on the regular networks with the real football.
With the slime cannon?
Would
Are you kidding
I go
me?
that far?
Huh?
Would I, on a week-to-week basis, no. Every once in a while, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Every once in a while, I'll be like, you know what? I need a little slime in my NFL, all right?
I'm anti this idea.
Why?
Because, listen, you learn football by watching football. Now, I didn't have, SpongeBob SquarePants telling me about, offensive tackles and stuff like that. No, you watch.
Okay, Boomer.
You watch football. I'm not mansplaining to the, come on.
Adam had Mr. Rogers explain to him.
That's right. Listen, Dennis Miller. We need Dennis Miller back in the Monday Night booth to explain to us what a false start penalty is.
I liked Dennis Miller when he was on.
I thought he was fine.
I like Kornheiser too. I thought they were both okay.
I think people overreacted both positively and negatively to those guys. Just so they could have a strong opinion one way or the other.
Right.
This didn't affect the football that I was watching. It's fine.
Obviously, we have to give a game ball to Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They win their first playoff game since 2002, their Super Bowl year. So good for the Buccaneers and 43-year-old Tom Brady. And I got to say it, and Antonio Brown. Do we have Brady's touchdown to Antonio Brown anywhere?
Inside of a montage.
Okay, we only have it inside of a montage. But, man, Antonio Brown has rose to the occasion. The last half of the season, he has been not only in an insurance policy, he's had more touchdown catches over the last 3 weeks than any Buccaneers receiver. So I'm going to say I was wrong about Antonio Brown, Adam Reardon. I know you were in favor of the signing.
Well, believe me, easy for me to smile today knowing that the Pittsburgh Steelers are out of the playoffs and Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell are both still in the playoffs. This is nice. I like it.
Yeah, there you have it. Game ball to Drew Brees and the Saints. You want to talk about the ageless wonders, Brady and Brees. Brees going to turn 42 on Friday as he prepares for the playoff game against Brady on this weekend. And here, give me a little Drew Brees highlight.
Brees fakes it, looking for someone to throw to under pressure. He dumps it underneath. Latavius Murray at the 5 across the goal line. Touchdown! Latavius Murray comes off of his block. Brees finds him and Latavius Murray does the rest. That's the second time we've seen him do that in a couple of weeks inside here. Latavius Murray makes something happen.
UCF's Latavius Murray. Did you guys see that pass? It was like, this is why these guys are so amazing to me. Drew Brees, he was getting pressure, and it was like a little hook shot. He took a hook shot and threw it to Latavius Murray, who scored the touchdown. It was, you want to talk about improvisation? It was unbelievable. 42 years old, and the guy's doing a hook shot over a defender. Incredible. It was like Kareem throwing a pass.
Let me say that you mentioned kind of the older guard of the NFL, and can I give like a game ball to the to nutrition and skincare nowadays? Because you see the graphic that they put up for Tom Brady.
Yeah,
he becomes the oldest guy to throw it, and they put his picture right next to George Blanda, and he's like a little bit older than George Blanda, but George Blanda looked like he was like 64 years old
absolutely,
in that photograph. And I'm looking at Tom Brady going, wait a minute, this guy on the left is older than the guy on the right? There's no way. There's
Tom Brady's pliable, man.
Listen, TB12 and cryogenic freezing and whatever else that guy's rubbing all over his face.
Just for men, the Grecian formula. They didn't have any of that stuff back in George Blanda's day, all right? They didn't have a hair dye for men back then.
All right? And the thing is, George Blanda was like filling in for somebody. Tom Brady,
LaMonica.
Yeah, Tom Brady's like throwing 40 touchdowns this past year. He's still playing at a high level. Absolutely amazing what Tom Brady's been able to do in his career, with the advancements and obviously strength training and nutrition and all the other stuff that he obviously takes very seriously. He's
performance-enhancing drugs.
Well, some of those are probably floating around somewhere in there.
Cells,
all that kind of stuff. But hey, game ball to that stuff, because let me say this: he looked a hell of a lot better at 43 than George Blanda ever did. I can promise you this.
All right, let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, FM 96.9 The Game, the home of Orlando City Soccer Club.
How about a game ball for my Brownies for getting it done and dismantling the Steelers yesterday? Good Lord, the defense comes up with 4 picks, and Baker Mayfield looked really good on plays like this.
Baker looks it over in the shotgun with Chubb on his left hip. On 2nd and 10, he's back to throw. Got a blitz coming in. Screen pass right side. Here comes Chubb. 35, 30, 25, 20. He's going. He's going. He's gone. Nick Chubb is in. Touchdown.
I'm telling you guys, Kansas City Chiefs better watch out for my Brownies next week, because the Brownies aren't happy just to beat the Steelers. They want to beat the Chiefs too, and they can do it. In fact, early overreaction, early prediction. Browns beat the Chiefs next week. Boom.
No, just no. Just no. Okay? Here's the thing. One quick thing from all of this. Let's not just think about how the Pittsburgh Steelers lost a bunch of games at the end of the year. Do you remember how they won all of their 11 games leading up into that 11-0 streak? They scraped by. Everyone thought the Pittsburgh Steelers were the worst 11-0 team of all time, and guess what? They showed it.
So sort of like, as Adam pointed out earlier, sort of like the Chiefs are just scraping by now?
Oh,
for the last 2 months. Yeah, I was about to say,
sort of like that.
Except they never stopped winning, brother. They never stopped winning.
They lost the last game of the season.
They weren't playing. They didn't play their actual guys. Hey, here's the deal.
I want winners.
That's right. I want winners. The Steelers ain't that.
Austin always falls back on that clip, even when it doesn't have any context.
Absolutely.
To it.
You kidding me? Hey, Mike, what's your favorite food? I don't care.
I want winners.
That's right.
Well, you know who is a winner, and I'm giving him a big game ball, because this guy is the most exciting quarterback in the league. I don't care about his accuracy issues on throwing the football. Lamar Jackson, he throws the ball good enough, because a guy who runs like he does, he throws the ball good enough. That run he had yesterday, do we have the 48-yard touchdown run?
Jackson to throw. Steps up, pocket collapsing. He escapes. He's to the 40-yard line. 35, 30. Lamar Jackson to the 20. Leg raise 10, 5. And he's pushed out of bounds at the 1-yard line. No! Signal is touchdown. Lamar Jackson on 3rd and 9. He takes it to the house.
3rd and 9. It was unbelievable. 136 yards rushing he had. He had that 48-yard touchdown run. He throws for 179. Again, he's good enough throwing the football. You know what? He's still going to get better throwing the football. He's got the arm strength, obviously. He just needs to work on his accuracy issues a little bit. But he is unbelievable. Lamar Jackson, incredible. Incredible. Game ball to we have a Florida State football game ball. No, not their current team, all right? But Cam Akers over the weekend. Did you see him? Give me a Cam Akers highlight.
He'll hand off. Left side run. Akers up the middle. Into the end zone. Touchdown, LA. The rookie with a finger roll over the goalpost as he takes it in from 5.
Cam Akers. Wow. He runs for 131 yards and the touchdown. Former Florida State running back. I'm going to say this right now as well. Watch out for the LA Rams, all right? They beat the Seahawks over the weekend behind Cam Akers and that defense is the best in the league. And when you have a defense that good, watch out for the Rams, all right? That's all I'm saying.
They got to go to Green Bay.
Yeah.
Oof.
Ooh. Ooh.
Again, best defense in the league. It's not even close.
Didn't Aaron Donald get hurt this game?
Yeah, but he came back. I believe he came back. They expect him to play this week. Obviously their defense is very, very, very good. And they said who's starting at quarterback yet for them?
No.
Carson Wentz came in and finished the game. I would imagine it's going to be Carson Wentz.
Wait. Not Carson Wentz.
I'm sorry, Jared Goff.
Okay.
I always get those two mixed up. I imagine it's going to be Jared Goff because he came in yesterday and pulled out the victory. And he had that thumb injury, but he looked pretty.
Which turns out that was a broken thumb. It was more than just like a jam. It was legit a broken thumb. I've got the clip here. He talks about it. He talked about it after the game.
I think about 2 weeks ago, I'm sitting right here in this chair knowing I have a broken thumb, lying to you guys. Coming back here and winning this game in a big way is meaningful. And, we saw everything. We saw, the way that they celebrated. We saw what they did. And, like Aaron said, we wanted this one.
By the way, speaking of celebration, back to the Ravens, goofball to them for stomping on the logo of the Tennessee Titans, creating and I realized the Titans did it to them earlier this season. What is this stomping on the logo thing? Isn't that like 1990s stuff? Why are we still stomping on logos on football fields?
Stomping on, dancing on, it is a tradition unlike any other. Players disrespecting the logo of the home team. Was it T.O. used to do it, and then earlier this year we've seen it a couple times. Juju Smith-Schuster has said that he likes to dance on the logo before every game, and then he was forced to knock that off. And then you're right, the Ravens celebrate. Even Ed Reed, maybe the greatest Raven of all time, said, "Listen, I love my Ravens, but win with class."
Goofball to Deshaun Watson, not because he's not a great quarterback, because he is the Houston Texans QB, but he's pouting because the team did not check with him before they hired their new GM. Who's the guy they hired? Guy that was with the Patriots. Nick Caserio, all right? They hired this guy. And he's mad because the team didn't check with him. Is that what is this about? Why should teams check with players before they hire their new GM? Is that
that's what we've come to expect now?
Not in the NFL. We expect it from LeBron. No. We expect it from LeBron, not in the NFL. I mean, that doesn't have, Brady doesn't even have that sort of power. for crying out loud. Although I guess he did with Antonio Brown.
Say, you got Antonio Brown hired.
Like, did Aaron Rodgers have a say when they hired?
No.
Okay, well,
no. I mean, in the NFL, this would be very brand new territory. In the NBA, we've seen star players get to manipulate either their teams or in some cases the league. Sometimes it feels like that's the NBA. Never in the NFL have I ever seen teams say, okay, well, we're going to pay this guy $100 and something million over the next, and we're giving him sort of control of the front office. Mike, you've been around the league, around the sport longer than me. I can't remember anybody who had that level of power. And we've seen some great dynasties and some great players in the past that none of them have been afforded that luxury.
No, and believe me, if I were a player, certainly I would want that sort of power. Every employee would like to have more power over hiring their boss, all right? So I understand that, and I understand that the NBA and LeBron James, hey, if you can wield that sort of power, more power to you. But to me, there's a reason that the NFL is the king of all sports. And again, as a fan, I love it. It's because the players don't have as much power as they do in the NBA, in the NFL. They don't get the guaranteed contracts. Again, if I was a player, I would want that. But as a fan, I love how the NFL's set up because, again, you have a hard salary cap. Players can't just jump from team to team like they can in the NBA. So to me, this would be a bad precedent if you start giving players power over who to hire as the GM or the team president or even the head football coach. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, we've seen it in the NBA, and then I don't know that I'm against it in the NBA, or at least the way that teams or the players that have been able to wield that power have used it. I think for the most part, it's actually been a benefit to the NBA, but in the NFL, I just can't foresee it working because your career in the NFL is so short that if teams started putting coaches and GMs in place to appease one guy who may not be there, may not be healthy for the next 4 to 12 years, to me, it would just stunt the growth of your franchise, and I can never see it happening in the NFL.
All right around the corner, it's Sound Off, where we will hear the notable notes and quotable quotes from the newsmakers throughout sports. But first, your chance at $1,000.
right here on FM 96.9 The Game.
Welcome back to Open Mic. It is the sound off. It's that music tells you it is. And at the end of the segment, we are giving away a 4-pack of tickets to see the Orlando Magic take on the Milwaukee Bucks tonight at the Amway Center at 7 p.m. It is the first city night of the season. You can see the Magic rep the ORL in the season's new City Edition uniforms. The new City Edition uniforms are unique to each NBA team. We've seen them. We love them. It's beautiful. You got to check them out. And you can pre-order a City Edition jersey at orlandomagic.com/jerseys. Also tonight, January 11th, the Magic will celebrate MLK Night. Join us as we proudly honor the life of civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and celebrate our first city night by recognizing those in Central Florida who are carrying on his legacy. That's a 4-pack of tickets. You can call in at the end of this segment, which is the sound off, which we will start off with this.
Sound off. I think it was the biggest storyline of the week. Just because one guy says I want Tom, all of a sudden they got a great front. Our guys took it to heart. They were going to block him, and I thought we blocked him really, really well. So, they didn't scare us.
That was Bruce Arians, head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, talking about how the Washington defensive line didn't scare us. It's all talk, Mike. Well, should they be scared of the Saints defense coming up?
Absolutely, they should be scared of the Saints defense. The Saints defense, probably better than the Washington football team's defense. The Saints are, in my mind, maybe the most complete team in the league when it comes to offense and defense. Obviously, their offensive weapons are unbelievable. Their defense, I think, is ranked 4th in the National Football League, and they have absolutely had their way with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last game the Buccaneers played the Saints defense, 3 points, 38-3, I believe, was the score. So yes, they need to take the Saints very, very seriously.
Sound off. It wasn't about that specifically. Yeah, it's the same quote, but we believe in the people in this room no matter what's going on. As soon as the COVID news came out that we were missing some key guys, obviously starting with our head coach, we knew that everybody was counting us out, and we knew what mentality we were going to have, and it's just to cut it loose and go out there and give it everything we had. But there was no added pressure. There was no extra anything. It was just for us to go out and do our job because no one believed in us besides us.
Baker Mayfield, quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, talking about how...
I believed in him. I picked him to win the game against Jamie Say.
Good for you, Mike. Well done. Mm-hmm. I'm proud of you. Good job. Yeah. No one else believed in him. And guess what? They don't believe in him next week. What do you think, Adam?
On whether or not to believe in him next week?
Whether or not to believe in him.
Yeah, you can believe in him. Listen, these are NFL teams with NFL players on them who have a belief now, playing with house money against a team that hasn't really competed for going on 2 weeks now, who hasn't over the last month and a half of the season been blowing teams away. Yeah, no, you can believe in them. I don't know what the line is. Don't have it in front of me, right?
10 points.
10 points? Double digits? I just told you it's been 2 months since the Kansas City Chiefs have beaten anybody by more than one touchdown. And the Browns are playing good football right now. They can run the ball. They got some defensive players. And yeah, no, believe in them. I believe in them. I didn't say bet on them. I said believe in them.
I'd take that 10 points right now.
Yeah,
I'd bet on them.
I mean, if you told me I had to place a bet on that game, I'd certainly be wanting to receive 10 points as opposed to lay them in this game for sure.
Sound off.
Oh, it's a big cheer. There's a lot of cheering, a little bit of dancing. I think everybody's just really happy. You're right. There was a lot of attention on it. That's how it works. We understand that's the nature of it. That's really not the main point. It's a team game. And I felt like our guys all played well. They were just happy for him. It's something he won't have to talk about in the future. And that's a meaningful thing.
John Harbaugh, coach of the Baltimore Ravens, talking about the reaction to Lamar Jackson getting a playoff win, which the first of his career after an MVP season a year ago. A lot of people thought that, hey, maybe he's not the clutch performer. He's just a showy regular season guy. What does this win mean to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens?
Well, obviously, when you're a young quarterback, yeah, he's been the MVP. We all know he can play. We all know he's a great player. But the way a quarterback, makes his legacy is by getting it done in the playoffs. And to get your first playoff win against a really good Tennessee Titans team yesterday, when you were the key factor, when you ran the ball for 130-something yards and had an unbelievable touchdown run, this is a huge deal for Lamar Jackson. And believe me, he'll have a lot more playoff wins throughout his career.
Regardless of what happens on Monday night, you take the next couple of weeks and reflect on the season. Now is not the time for that. Now it's all about playing in this game, playing well, because that's what matters. And totally understand what you guys are saying, but any minute focusing on something like that is just a distraction towards playing in this game, and we can't let that happen. We got too good of an opponent, have to play too good to be thinking about anything like that.
Ryan Day, head coach of Ohio State, he was asked question after question from the media during this press conference where it was, hey, are you just happy that you made it here? Are you just happy you made it to the national championship game? And that was his response to those questions. So, Adam, my question for you is, should he just be happy he made it here?
No, no, again, I think he sort of intimated, listen, we can reflect on that later on. But when you're here, you don't talk about, hey, we're just happy to be here. You got a chance to win the national championship in a year where there were a lot of people trying to pull against you for even having the opportunity. They matched you up against Clemson, assuming that Clemson was going to run you out of the gym. You ran them out of the gym. Now you get to take on big bad Alabama. You've got a shot to win the national championship. So no, in this moment, not happy to be there. 10 years down the line, he'll look back, win, lose, or draw this football game and go, man, what a great experience. But when you're there in that moment, no way you're just thinking about, oh, it's nice to be here. No, you are locked in as a competitor, and 100% of your thought is into winning this game.
I think he's an outstanding player and certainly going to be a challenge for us to, try to at least, do a decent job of not letting them, be able to run the ball and create positive down and distance situations so that we're always on our heels on defense, which when you have great balance, that's always the fear you have for your defensive team. And Trey Sermon has certainly been a guy that's contributed to that in a very positive and significant way.
Mike, we finish up with Nick Saban talking about Ohio State running back Trey Sermon and how he is going to be a massive part of this game. Mike, what is the keys to victory for both teams?
What are the keys to victory? Balance, as Nick Saban just said. And that's why and again, Alabama's been the best team in the country this year. They better not lose to Ohio State, all right? Because Ohio State is balanced, man. They've got a quarterback who can throw the football. They have a running back who can run the football. The Gators almost beat Alabama in the SEC championship game, and they didn't have a running game. If Alabama loses this game, there's going to be a lot of people who discounted Ohio State, who said Ohio State didn't belong in the national championship game, including myself, who are going to be upset. So do not blow this, Alabama. Do not make us look bad.
Sound off. That's the sound off for today.
Alabama better win. They better win. Good Lord. What happens if they lose? Can you imagine what the Buckeyes are going to be like if they win this game, Adam Reardon? You know how Buckeyes fans are. You certainly know after that national championship that they robbed your Hurricanes of way back when.
Yeah, no. Listen, they're a fan base that
are annoying and awful.
Yes.
They can be. I mean, there's definitely a faction of the fan base.
I think I think they might be the nastiest fan base out there.
Oh,
Ohio State.
It's got to be close.
Nasty?
Yes.
Nasty is to me.
I mean, I might still be cheering for Ohio State in this one. I'm just throwing that out there, but the fan base, not a fan.
Speaking of Ohio State, the former Ohio State coach, who's also not very well beloved, Urban Meyer. I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to say Urban Meyer will be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars by midweek. I'll explain next on Open Mic.
More Open Mic up next.
Cowardly, gutless, and wrong.
Break the glass because it's time to call in 407-916-8255. We've got a 4-pack of tickets to see the Orlando Magic take on the Milwaukee Bucks tonight at the Amway Center at 7 p.m. It's the first city night of the season. You can check out those uniforms right now. You can pre-order them at orlandomagic.com/jerseys. And tonight, the Magic will celebrate MLK Night. Join us as we proudly honor the life of civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and celebrate our first city night by recognizing those in Central Florida who are carrying on his legacy. That's 407-916-8255 for your chance to win this 4-pack of tickets. 407-916-8255.
I have a sneaking suspicion. We were just talking about the Ohio State-Alabama National Championship game tonight. I have a sneaking suspicion that Ohio State might win that game. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I picked Ohio State to win the game when we were picking with Jamie Say on Friday. I don't know why I think it. Obviously, Alabama's done nothing to make you doubt them. But Ohio State, that game they played against Clemson, the way they run the football, the way they throw the football, and again, I hope I'm wrong because I do not want Ohio State to win the game. I would gladly forfeit the wrong pick for Alabama to win tonight. We need Alabama to win. Because Ohio, those Buckeyes fans, we've talked about them. We just talked about them. Here's another reason we need Alabama to win. Our big boss at the radio station, Linda Bird, she's a big Alabama fan, all right? And we want to keep her happy. We want to keep her happy. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
So I am rooting for Alabama. And plus, I'm an SEC guy. I root for the SEC. I know Adam doesn't. I know
Alabama wins, raises for everybody. Okay, yeah. How happy is she going to be?
Yeah. Everybody gets a raise if Alabama wins tonight, right?
Yeah, that's how that works. We're just spending all of iHeart's money on after a national championship victory.
All right, so Urban Meyer interviewed with the Jacksonville Jaguars on Friday on owner Shad Khan's yacht. All right. I don't know where that yacht was docked or if it was out at sea.
International waters.
International waters where they interviewed. But, yeah, if Urban Meyer had jumped in the water when they were in international waters, there would have been a huge oil slick because that guy's slimy as they come. All right. But Urban Meyer is a hell of a football coach. I've said that many times. I'm not a big fan of him as a human being, but as a football coach, you cannot deny Urban Meyer is unbelievable. So he interviewed on Friday, all right? It's being reported by Adam Schefter that Urban Meyer is already compiling a staff as if he's going to get the job. Now, Shad Khan last week, after they fired Doug Marrone, he said, well, we haven't had any contact with Urban Meyer. In fact, here's what he said.
The rumor of Urban Meyer, obviously, I've known Urban over the years through Big Ten and what have you, but we've not spoken to anyone about this job or obviously interviewed him. I mean, this is something, it's just, made the decision this morning. So, there's, and I'll leave it at that.
I'll leave it at that. All right. We haven't talked to Urban Meyer. That was last week when it was already being reported last week. Who reported that last week? Ian Rappaport of NFL Network was reporting that Urban Meyer, even before the official interview on Friday, was already compiling a staff as if he was going to be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Adam Schefter reported that after the interview on Friday. Here's what I think is going on. I think the Jaguars have had it worked out that Urban Meyer was going to be the head coach, all right? I think Shad Khan and Urban Meyer or whoever, intermediaries, whatever, they've worked out the deal, all right? And, of course, in the NFL, before you hire a head coach, you have to go through the proper channels. You have to do the Rooney Rule interviews. You have to interview Eric Bieniemy, who was interviewed last week, a couple of other candidates, and then they bring in Urban Meyer. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say by Wednesday, Urban Meyer will be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think this deal is done. Don't you guys?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that Urban does right off the bat for you as a football team, especially in the state of Florida, he has a name brand credibility to himself within the state for football fans. Will Urban Meyer be a good NFL football coach? History and statistics say no, he won't be, because guys that are successful college coaches, don't go on to become successful NFL coaches. We've seen the greatest coaches in college football. Nick Saban failed miserably in the NFL. Steve Spurrier failed in the NFL. These guys. But what it does do for you as a franchise is sort of jumpstart you as far as the excitement level of your fan base, and that's something that the Jacksonville Jaguars are desperately in need of. You also can couple that with the fact that you got the first pick in the draft, and if for nothing else, the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win the offseason. They're going to win the preseason, if you will, because they're going to have a brand new coach that everybody recognizes his name. They're going to get the number one quarterback in the draft, and then we'll see if 5 years after that, it all makes sense afterwards. I'm not saying it will, but it makes sense for the Jaguars to get Urban Meyer.
I think when you say track record says that college coaches don't succeed in the NFL, I think that's overrated. I really do. Guess what? NFL coaches fail in the NFL, all right? NFL assistant coaches fail when they become NFL head coaches. There are plenty of examples, or at least a few examples. Pete Carroll went from USC. He's been a hell of a head coach for the Seattle Seahawks. Your boy Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson, one of the great NFL coaches of all time, in my opinion. Hell, if you want to go way back, Bill Walsh left Stanford and became one of the great NFL coaches of all time. So again, I think it's a little bit of, can we pick out the Steve Spurriers and the Nick Sabans and the Chip Kellys? Yeah, but guess what? I can pick out Jim Harbaugh. He left Stanford, went to the NFL, and got the 49ers to the Super Bowl. So, again, there are plenty of examples of college head coaches who were successes in the NFL. And Urban Meyer is one of the greatest college head coaches of all time.
Does Urban Meyer, and here's something else, I guess part of the question is, how much control is he going to have on the roster? I think
the fact that they haven't hired a GM yet and they're going to hire their football coach first, it looks like, I think that means that Urban Meyer is going to have a lot of say-so on who the new GM is, which means he would have a lot of say-so on roster, right?
Yeah, because, that's one of the things, and people point to Jimmy Johnson. It's probably the most successful guy that you can sort of point to that went from college to the NFL and had great success, is remember he had full control over what was happening over that roster, and when he walked in there, he had, to me, that's very, very important. If Urban Meyer is going to be successful, he has to sort of own the full process. Otherwise, I've never really liked the idea of NFL coaches having to sort of have somebody else there making the picks for the guys that you have to coach. I like it when the coach is the GM, because then there's no debate on who to blame if it goes wrong, and no debate who to give the credit to if things go right.
So you believe in the Bill Parcells quote: "If I'm gonna cook the meal, I better be able to shop for the groceries."
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, up next, it's Brady versus Breeze, round 3. We're going to get into all the NFL playoff coverage next on Open Mic.
Open Mic with Mike Bianchi.
Skill level that he has is certainly John Elway-like.
We'll be back right after this.
Oh my goodness, it's happening again, guys. Those ding-dong do-it-yourself doorbell cameras are having major issues again, with one well-known doorbell company recalling 350,000 video doorbells due to fire hazard. This is the same company, by the way, that had video doorbells that were spying on their customers a few months ago. This is why I have a Safe Touch home security system, which, by the way, comes complete with professionally installed and monitored doorbell cameras. You don't have to worry about Safe Touch's video doorbell starting a fire, getting hacked, spying on you. None of that happens with Safe Touch cameras. You know why? Because Safe Touch, again, they're monitored. They are verified by local police. Do-it-yourself alarms alarms are designed to be installed by anyone. What does that mean? It means they're easily hacked and easily bypassed. That leaves your family vulnerable to the bad guys and the creeps. So do what I did. Go to safetouch.com. That's safetouch.com for a system you can trust at a price you can afford. State license EF233.
Put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
Welcome back to Open Mic. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel, joined as always by Adam Reardon, the deceptive intellect, and of course Austin Pastolka, the Sultan of Sound. Together we are Open Mic, the troika of sports talk radio excellence in Orlando and in Jacksonville. Give us a call, 407-916-8255. You can tweet us at 96.9 The Game or at The Game Jacks. You can also text us on our Academy Sports and Outdoors text line 50857. It's an overreaction Monday. It's a Game Balls and Goop Balls Monday. We want your reactions from the world of sports over the weekend. Obviously, we have the national championship game tonight as well. NFL playoff games over the weekend. The Jaguars, it looks like, are going to hire Urban Meyer as the next head football coach. What do you think of that? Again, many ways to reach us, many ways to what you can watch us now. We're streaming live on Twitch, on Twitter, and on YouTube. In fact, if you go to YouTube and search for Open Mic live stream, you can see our beautiful faces right there talking sports as if we're on a TV show. By the way, are we on this parlor machine I've been reading about?
Oh gosh, no, we're not on parlor.
We're not on the parlor machine. Okay,
no.
good.
The thing that's been banned by everyone and everything. No, we're not on it.
We're not on the parlor machine?
No.
Okay. All right. So we're not on the parlor machine, but there are many other avenues where you can watch and listen to us. The holidays are over. The bills are piling up. Your next chance to win $1,000. We call it the Dash for Cash, coming up at 8:10 a.m. this morning. Make an appointment for that. Again, it's the Dash for Cash right here on FM 96.9 The Game. A lot of football to talk about. We have our blast coming up where we get into the major topics of the day, but we are the home. We are the radio home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we're gonna reset this morning talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady getting it done over the weekend against the Washington football team. They win the game 31-23, and they now advance in the playoffs. Give me some Bucs highlights from the weekend, Sultan.
Dropping deep, Brady throws the ball to the right side. He's got it open. Antonio Brown, 3-2-1, touchdown, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Brady finds AB. Brady dropping, throwing, caught ball. Chris Godwin, touchdown, Tampa Bay. Perfect throw from Brady, and Godwin beat the defender. Second down and goal. Hand the ball off, and Fournette is stutter step. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. The Bucs get a badly needed touchdown.
You know, you'd love to play great every game. You know, I think it's good to win in advance, and you know, we don't play well next week. You know, we're not gonna be happy. So glad we won. Glad we got another week of work, and we're gonna go in there and try to do a much better job this week.
Get to work, says Tom Brady. It was one thing beating the Washington football team. It's quite another next week when we have to play the Saints. The New Orleans Saints obviously have had the Buccaneers number this season. They've beaten the Bucs twice, including that beatdown 38-3 the last time they played. The Saints advanced in the playoffs yesterday when Drew Brees led the Saints to the playoff victory over the Bears 21-9. Saints, Bucs, Brady versus Brees. We're going to talk about this during the blast, but I'm not one of these sports talk radio hosts or sports columnists who isn't, I'm not one of these guys who, even when he's wrong, won't admit it. I will admit when I'm wrong. You guys have seen that. I admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong about Antonio Brown. I was wrong about Leonard Fournette. When the Buccaneers signed these guys, I go, what are they doing that for? Why are they bringing these malcontents into their locker room? Well, guess what? Antonio Brown's caught 5 touchdown passes over the last 3 weeks of the season. Leonard Fournette runs for almost 100 yards yesterday. Had his best game as a Buccaneer. I'll say it, and I'll say it again. I was wrong. I'm glad I was wrong. I'm glad the Buccaneers signed these guys now because they've not been distractions, and you can credit whoever you want to with that, whether it's playing with Brady or whatever. But these guys have been model citizens on and off the field in Tampa Bay. Thoughts?
Yeah, well, obviously Antonio Brown had a lot of attention. He was a great player. His off the field stuff is what sort of held him back. Finally got the opportunity. Some people question whether or not it was a good idea. He's paid. Well, I mean, you're not the only one for sure, Mike. But you look at it. Sometimes, I would say either for a guy like AB and then for Leonard Fournette as well. These guys may have recognized this is their last chance, and that some of the questions were valid that were being asked when the Buccaneers signed these guys initially, and these guys are paying the Buccaneers back and paying them off for their belief in them, and it couldn't come at a better time when they needed Leonard Fournette to run hard and run tough and score touchdowns in the playoffs. He did that. Antonio Brown the last four or 5 weeks of the season has been probably Tom Brady's go-to guy, or at least one of them. So it's worked out well, and credit to everybody involved. One, for the organization for giving the chance. Maybe Tom Brady in the case of Antonio Brown for sort of going to bat for him, and then give credit to these guys who now, given the opportunity, have made the absolute most of it. And Buccaneer fans have to be pretty happy, and even if they were one of those ones that were against the idea of signing either of these guys, they have become major cogs in the wheel of what they're going to do during the playoffs.
407-916-8255. Austin, did you say the show killer is on the line?
That's right. We got Gerber on line one.
All right, let's bring up Gerber. Gerber, let me just say one thing before we give the floor to you. Your Crimson Tide tonight better not lose to the Buckeyes and let the Buckeyes win the national championship, because the Buckeyes, if they win, those fans are going to say, well, I told you so, we belonged in the playoff. Gerber, don't blow it tonight. Gerber there?
Gerber. Oh, Gerber, you're missing your opportunity, brother.
Gerber, are you there?
3, 2, 1. It's over.
What happened to him? He was on he hadn't hung up, right?
No, he hadn't hung up. He just wasn't answering his phone, I guess.
Gerber probably was, I don't know. He's probably taking his medicine or something.
I don't know the crazy life that Gerber lives. I don't know it.
Listen, if you've ever driven around and thought, how come more radio shows don't take calls anymore?
Oh,
that's
wow.
that right there is the reason.
That's right. Yeah. But we stand by our principles. We are the People's Show. We will take calls. We will leave you on hold. We don't leave you on hold for 3 hours like some shows do. We actually take calls, probably sometimes to our detriment, as Adam just pointed out. All right, let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, FM 96.9 The Game, the home of Orlando City Soccer Club. You feel that?
I can feel it.
We're about to blast off.
Just hook it to my veins!
It's time for the blast.
Oh, yeah, it's time for the blast, and the blast is brought to you by Frank Gay Services. When you have a plumbing or electrical problem, you need help now, go to frankgayservices.com. You remember you can vote on all these topics on Twitter at 969thegame or at thegamejacks. We start off with the thought-provoking daily poll. I should get the cheap plug thing ready right now. Should Gators coach Dan Mullen be angry or appreciative of Mike Bianchi's open letter column in the Orlando Sentinel, which you can read right now, I'm pretty sure.
Cheap plug.
I'll do it for you. In which Bianchi advised Dan Mullen to clean up his act. Angry or appreciative, Mike?
Oh, well, obviously he should be appreciative. Gator fans should be appreciative. Dan Mullen, for many reasons, has been an embarrassment this year. Obviously, he's a hell of a football coach. He's turned around that offense that has been awful over the last decade before he got there. But his off-the-field problems, the NCAA probation, the dumb comments he made after the Texas A&M game about pack the swamp, the whining about not being able to practice on Election Day, starting the melee against Missouri during halftime of that game. Dan Mullen needs to clean up his act. There's a reason Dan Mullen hasn't gotten a contract extension from the University of Florida and their athletics director, Scott Strickland, and that's because he needs to clean up his act. He is embarrassing the university in many ways, and in my column, I just point out, maybe it's time, Dan, that you self-reflect, hold a press conference, apologize, and also commit to the University of Florida and say these NFL rumors are just rumors. I am committed to this university.
Yeah, I'd say appreciative. I mean, sometimes he may be surrounded by a whole lot of people that aren't willing to tell him the truth. He needs a Mike Bianchi to say, listen, here are the things that you need to improve on. All right, here may be some of the things holding you back from that extension that you want. Maybe he doesn't have enough people close enough in his inner circle that feel free enough to say, hey, listen, Dan, this is where you're screwing up. Don't talk about packing the swamp anymore. Take that Darth Vader mask off and stop being weird.
I don't know if Dan Mullen has Twitter or not, but I feel a block coming to a one Mike Bianchi.
Dwight Howard still has me blocked a decade later.
With 60% of the vote, he should be appreciative.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Supplemental poll number 1. After losing to the New Orleans Saints twice this season, will Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks finally beat Drew Brees and the Saints in the playoffs next week? Yes or no?
Well, it's going to be hard. This is probably going to be Brees' last season. Every indication is that he's going to retire after the season, so he's on a mission. He's got all his weaponry back. The Saints are one of the most complete, if not the most complete team in the National Football League. They've beaten up on the Bucs twice this season, but it's not going to happen again. The Bucs will win this weekend. I have a feeling that somehow, some way, the Bucs are going to find their way in the Super Bowl in Tampa. I think it's going to be a great story, and I am rooting for that story.
Yep, I like it. I like the Bucs to the Super Bowl. This Tom Brady to the Buccaneers thing, which I was the first person to report that anywhere.
Right. Yeah,
you were.
I was. I got that from soccer coach George. He says, "Listen, don't be surprised. I'm telling you." Yeah, listen. Tom Brady in the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be a huge, huge story and a great thing for the NFL to market. So give me that. I like it.
With 55% of the vote, yes, they will finally beat the Saints. Supplemental poll number 2. After dismantling the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs last night, are the Cleveland Browns for real? Yes or no?
Yeah, are they for real? Hell yeah, they're for real. They're 12-5 right now. They picked off Ben Roethlisberger 4 times. They may have sent Ben Roethlisberger into retirement last night. As we pointed out earlier, as Adam pointed out, they run the football. Obviously, their defense is a ball-hawking defense. They had 5 turnovers against the Steelers. Baker Mayfield is playing better and better. I'm saying it right now. They're going to Kansas City next week, and the Chiefs better watch out because the Brownies are coming to town, and they mean business.
Yeah, no, listen, you won an NFL playoff game on the road. So the answer is yes, you're for real. You win an NFL playoff game on the road against, listen, the Steelers were a quality
especially when
team.
When you've lost 17 straight times at Heinz Field.
Yeah, no, they are for real. And again, this isn't the Kansas City Chiefs team that's been scoring, 60 and 50 on teams anymore. This is a this is a Kansas City Chiefs team that has been eking out victories here over the last month and a half, 2 months of the season. So yes, they're for real, and yes, they got a chance this week against the defending Super Bowl champs.
With 53% of the vote, no, they ain't real.
Ooh.
They ain't real. Who they? Supplemental poll number 3. After interviewing with the Jacksonville Jaguars on Friday, what are the chances that Urban Meyer will be the next head coach of the Jags? Is it 10 out of 10, a lock, 7 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 1 out of 10? It's not going to happen.
10 out of 10. I think it's a lock. I think Urban Meyer will be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars by midweek or at least by the end of the week. I think he's been talking to the Jaguars. That's been reported. He's already out there, according to multiple reports, he's already out there trying to compile a staff. You're not going to do any of that unless you know you're going to be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Unless Urban Meyer changes his mind at the last minute, I think it's 10 out of 10 lock. He's the next head coach of the Jags.
Yeah, I'll go 7 out of 10 because of what you just mentioned. There's always a chance with Urban that he just decides, never mind. I was into it, and then I decided I'm not into it. Yeah, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. So I'll go 7 out of 10, but certainly would be shocked if within the next week Urban Meyer is announced as the next head coach.
Yeah, let me also say this. He will not be the head coach unless Shad Khan allows him to bring Huntley Johnson with him to Jacksonville. So.
These guys, hey, let me tell you, at this level, these guys don't need pro bono lawyers. They don't get pro bono lawyers at this level. These guys have to pay for their own lawyers now.
52% of the vote give this a 7 out of 10 chance of happening. 18% is number 2. 10 out of 10 is in second place with 18% chance. Words are hard. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Supplemental poll number 4. Who are you rooting for in tonight's national championship game? Is it Alabama? Is it the Buckeyes? Who you got?
SEC. Of course I'm rooting for Alabama because they're in the SEC, for one, all right? And also because I don't want the Buckeyes and that nasty fan base to be saying, I told you we belonged in the playoffs. I don't want to hear it, but let me just say this. I have a sneaking suspicion that Ohio State's going to win this game.
I'm pulling for Alabama. I'm pulling I'm pulling for Alabama.
Why?
Well, because I don't know. I have a great
You're sort
deal
of anti-SEC.
Well, but I have a great deal of respect for Nick Saban and what he's built as a program there, and the success he's been able to sustain.
You're still holding the grudge about the phantom pass interference when Ohio State robbed your team of the national championship.
That part too. I mean, that part too. That first of all, ball is tipped at the line of scrimmage, making it impossible for there to be any pass interference at all. And then secondly, that was definitely not pass interference.
Let me tell you something, guys. BIGTEN, Big Ten all the way. I'm going Ohio State. 70% of the vote says Alabama is who they are rooting for. And finally, the open mic Would You Rather poll. Which magical experience would you rather do? Play a game of Quidditch from the world of Harry Potter, or take a field trip with Ms. Frizzle from the Magic School Bus?
Yeah, I don't know who Miss Frizzle.
I don't know either one of those.
Get out of here! You guys don't know either of these?
No, I don't know.
Quidditch, is that the game where you fly around on your broomstick?
That is correct.
Okay, I do know what Quidditch is, so I'm going to go, hey, anytime you can fly around on your broomstick like the Wicked Witch of the West, absolutely. I'm going Quidditch. And again, Mrs. Frizzle, I don't know, what's her power?
Ms. Frizz jumps on the Magic School Bus and takes you all across the world, teaching you about science and all sorts of different things. They go inside of the body, you can check out red blood cells. They take you, they turn you into light, take you back in time. It's the Magic School Bus, man. Whatever you want to learn.
See, but if you do Quidditch and you have your magic broomstick, you could sell that broomstick for millions.
You, Mike.
Millions. You could monetize the broomstick.
Dang it.
I'll go on that acid trip. What was the one? What's the acid trip one?
Frizz.
Yeah, where you can go into the body and the bloodstream.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah.
53% of the vote says Quidditch.
Oh, wow. Adam, you didn't know what Quidditch was. Wow. Did not
No,
For sure, the deceptive intellect.
I knew it, but they actually play it at like some schools, like some colleges. They actually have Quidditch, like
they did?
club teams.
Club teams,
yeah,
yeah.
But it's
really?
embarrassing. Like the fact that no, I would definitely not pick that. I'll do the other one. I don't care what the other one is. I'll do the other one. I'll ride around on a broom, throwing something in a hoop.
All right, straight ahead, Andrea Adelson, college football writer extraordinaire, is going to join us to talk about Buckeyes versus Bama. What's going to happen tonight in the national championship game? That is next on the Open Mic. But first, we have your chance at $1,000.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword PAY to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's PAY to 200-200.
This report is sponsored by eSpaces.
On eastbound I-4, we have some heavy traffic now from the 401.
The long, arduous, pandemic-plagued college football season comes to an end tonight. The national championship game, Bama versus the Buckeyes. Let's welcome in college football writer extraordinaire. I believe her to be the best college football writer and broadcaster in the country. You can check her out at ESPN.com. You can also hit her up on Twitter at A. Adelson ESPN, at A. Adelson ESPN. Let's welcome in Andrea Adelson. Andrea, how are you this morning?
Mike, thanks for the kind words. I am fantastic. I'm in Miami, eagerly anticipating what I hope will be a good game. I think we all deserve that at this point.
Absolutely, we do. Before we get into the national championship game, though, Andrea, a couple of issues I want to get out of the way. You covered Urban Meyer in college. It looks like he's going to be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. What sort of NFL coach do you think Urban Meyer would be?
I actually think he'd be a good NFL coach, Mike. I don't know if I'm in the minority on that. I've talked to some of my other friends who know Urban well who aren't so sure, but I do think he has the type of temperament to be a good coach, the way he manages his team, the locker room, the roster. He's, to me, the complete polar opposite of a Dabo Sweeney type, who I'm not necessarily sure would be a good NFL coach because I don't know that his messaging and gimmicks would resonate in the locker room. Urban's one of those no-nonsense type of guys who's obviously a great evaluator of personnel and knows how to get the most out of his players. So I actually think he'd be a good coach. He's got a great track record with quarterbacks, actually. I think he'd do a great job with Trevor Lawrence.
Absolutely. As long as he's allowed to bring Huntley Johnson with him, I think he'd be a great NFL head coach as well. Dan Mullen, why do you think his contract has not been extended at the University of Florida? We were talking about that earlier this morning.
Great question, Mike. You know, it has been, I think, disappointing to see some of Dan's antics and comments throughout the course of the season. And I like Dan. I think you do too. Get along with him. But I just don't necessarily know that the way he handled himself is something that officials may be pleased about at this point. And it's been out there that he has interest in the NFL. I don't think that's been a secret either. So I honestly think it may just be a matter of officials waiting to see how this is all going to play out. Dan is on the MegaCast on ESPN today, so I'm eager to see what he says, if he's asked about that, just his comments about this game and moving forward, whether he does come back to Florida, whether there is a long and serious conversation about some of the way he handled certain situations this year, and whether even the university president needs to have a sit down with him and explain to him that he is essentially the face of the program and he needs to act accordingly. And when he makes comments about packing the stadium or we didn't need to play this game, this was just our scout team, that reflects on the university at large. And I don't think any of those comments reflected well on the University of Florida. And I have friends who are Gator fans who are, quite frankly, tired of it. And I wonder if that's how Florida officials are feeling about it, too. But to me, a lot of it probably depends on whatever Dan wants to decide about taking a chance on the NFL and trying to figure out what Florida's plan is then moving forward.
All right, Andrea, let's talk about the big game tonight. Let's get some health issues out of the way. Justin Fields' health after the big hit he took against Clemson. Also, Jalen Waddle. What are the expectations of him playing tonight?
Justin Fields made the trip. He's here. He says he's going to be good to go tonight, but I'm sure we will know how he is feeling after that first drive. Wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State gives him some help to feel good tonight, the way that they did last week against Clemson to finish out that game, if he is feeling some and experiencing some pain. But Ryan Day said that he had a great week of practice. He prepared well for this game. So we'll see how he is. As for Jalen Waddle, it's going to be a game-time decision. Nick Saban said yesterday during his final comments to the media that they're going to have him go through pregame warm-ups to see whether he can contribute the way that he needs to contribute in this game. And just imagine adding him back into this mix, this Alabama offense. It's just, again, it makes you wonder how Ohio State is going to have the personnel to defend all of the players that Alabama has. You're already thinking that before we got word that Jalen Waddle was practicing. Now you add him into the mix. It just adds another dynamic player to what is already the best offense in football, and that's just going to add an extra challenge to Ohio State.
Andrea, are we to expect a shootout tonight? I mean, with the way defenses have played in college football throughout the season, I would think that tonight's going to be a high-scoring game. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so as well. Just when you look at the best offenses that Alabama has played, they have been involved in shootouts, and Ohio State is a balanced offense and also an explosive offense that can score in a hurry. And if they play the way that they did against Clemson, then I do expect them to be able to put up some points. But the thing about Ohio State that I still think I'm wondering about is whether they're closer to the team we saw against Clemson or whether they're going to go back and play like they did against Northwestern and in some of those previous games where they looked a little bit shaky. And the other thing about Ohio State is this is a team that's still dealing with COVID issues. And we don't know which of the players were affected this week when there was discussion about whether they could play the game. So there will be players missing for Ohio State. We just don't know who and which ones and which position group may be impacted. So that puts another big question mark on this game, and we're sitting here trying to figure out, okay, is it going to be a shootout? Is Alabama just too much for Ohio State to handle? We really don't have all the information right now about what Ohio State team is going to show up and which players are going to be available to play.
Andrea, how close do you think this game came to being postponed?
I do think it was close, Mike. I do. But ultimately, Ohio State felt that they could proceed forward. And let's also remember that Ohio State has been dealing with COVID issues now for something like 6 weeks. They've had players who've tested positive or been out because of quarantines. They missed Chris Olave. They missed half their offensive line in one game. So they have dealt with these issues now continually and repeatedly. I think the issue and concern leading into the national championship game was that a position group was impacted. And so they were trying to weigh and decide whether they could continue on and move forward. The Big Ten did not have in place the same type of roster requirements that the SEC did. And again, you get into a national championship game and you have conferences that have played with different rules, different testing requirements, so on and so forth. The College Football Playoff did have quietly a set of guidelines in about what a team would need to have to be able to play this game. So once they started looking at all of that, evaluating the roster, trying to figure out and decide whether they'd be able to come down, Ohio State, after all the testing that they did during the week, decided they would be able to play, and they're here. They made it, and so we'll see tonight how many players are going to be out.
All right, Andrea, obviously we all watched the Florida-Alabama SEC championship game. Florida gave Alabama all they wanted, and Florida can't run the football. Well, if Ohio State is even relatively healthy tonight, they can run the football. I'm wondering if they might have the type of team that could beat Alabama because of the balance you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. That's exactly what I keep going back to, is that Florida had no running game. They had explosive players in the passing game, obviously a great quarterback, but nobody to run the ball. And also, the offensive line is not even close to the offensive line that Ohio State has. The offensive line at Ohio State has really come together here over the last couple of weeks. They absolutely dominated Clemson a week ago, and that's not necessarily something that I was anticipating happening. You see the way Trey Sermon has run the last couple of games. He's got 524 yards in his last two games. So, yes, they can run the ball, and if Justin Fields is healthy and he's on and he's motivated, they have got not only receivers who can make some plays, but they showed 2 tight ends last week against Clemson who can make some plays. And again, obviously, tight end was something that Alabama had an issue containing against Florida. They're not as explosive as Kyle Pitts. I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying that. They're 2 different types of tight ends, more the physical kind of guys, but they can get open in space and bowl people over. And so that's another added component that Ohio State brings to the table. So if they are firing the way that they did against Clemson, and if the Ohio State defensive line is able to do something against, the greatest offensive line in college football against Alabama, then perhaps they can. If they can limit the possessions, if they can create a couple of turnovers, if they can make some plays both the run and the pass, then I do think that Ohio State's going to give themselves a chance to win. I don't think that this is a slam dunk, Alabama hands down, Ohio State has no chance. I do think Ohio State does have a chance in this game if they're able to do a lot of the things that they were able to do against Clemson in limiting the big plays, controlling the line of scrimmage, but also keeping the ball away from Alabama and scoring a lot of points.
Andrea Adelson, she is the best in the business. Check out all of her coverage of the national championship game at ESPN.com. Andrea, we appreciate it. Have fun tonight.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Good to talk to you again.
All right. Straight ahead, Mark Daniels and the Bridge. We'll get